Hey guys, all right, Wolfman WR1. This is the 54 gap, and it's kind of between brushed and polished. It's not polished at all, but it's also not as dull as being brushed, and I like that. The guy who had it before me did that to it, and I'm glad. I'm going to be using Stirling Spice today. The blade inside the razor is a feather. It's been used 4 times. And Stirling. It's a CravingShaving handle. And the knot is a Stirling Finest Badger. Now I just did an experiment. We've got a bunch of experiments going on today. First one, I was just curious. I've had this soaking for a while. I lifted it out. I waited until the water stopped. And then I squeezed all of this amount of water into a lather bowl. And then, as if you know me, you know that I've got a syringe around for adding water to my lather as I'm polishing it off and mixing it and stuff. Well, I was curious how much water is inside this brush knot right here when it's just chock full. 8.5 teaspoons. I just measured it. That's crazy. That is a lot of water. So now this is a very dense knot. I'm also curious. I'll try that another time with maybe something like this, which is not as dense, but it's softer. And I'm curious as to how much water it will hold. We'll try that out sometime. Maybe I'll start keeping a log or a table of how much they hold just for funsies. Anyway, so that was experiment number 1. Not really an experiment, just an observation. 8.5 teaspoons of water. All right. Second experiment was, let's soak this brush for a long time. This brush has been soaking for 14 hours. I have discovered that the finest type of brushes, and if you're new to the shaving world, finest is a kind of a reserved word. It doesn't mean finest in terms of very fine, that sort of thing. It means a certain kind of badger hair. Okay, and the tips of the finest brushes are often treated and bleached, that sort of thing. And so sometimes they can get crispy and crunchy when they're dry. And so you need to soak it for a little while, get it wet so that those tips can hydrate and be moving and that sort of thing. I've discovered that this brush is quite dense for me. A lot of people love it, and that's okay. They like that density and the backbone. Not so much for me. And so I was going to shave last night, and so I put this in maybe 1 or 2 hours ahead of time. But then because of a project I had to do and craziness, I didn't manage to shave. So I said, you know what? Actually, I forgot about it. Let it soak all night. But then this morning I was like, well, I'm kind of glad that it happened, because what if now it's an amazing brush and I like it even more? I'm not saying I'm going to soak it overnight every time, but maybe an hour soak, or maybe half an hour, maybe 20 minutes is what I need for this particular brush. So let's just see what happens. All right. The third experiment is with the soap. Now, I like this scent of Stirling, and I like Stirling a lot. Recently, and here's the feather that I'm putting in. Recently, I discovered that I only use about 10 grams of chiseled face soap in 28 days, and that is not very much at all. It's well below average. And I wasn't even getting skimpy lathers. I had an extra pass or 2 at the end of most of the shaves when I did that. So I wasn't skimping. It's just that I like wet lathers, and I bowl lather, and so that I make sure that I get a consistent lather across all passes instead of having a really dense, dry, soap-filled lather as the first pass and then it getting weaker. That's commonly what happens with face latherers. All right, feathers all loaded up. I used this same blade and razor yesterday, and it wasn't as comfortable as usual, and that's, I believe, because I had a crappy soap. And so I'm trying out a known excellent soap to see. It could be that the feather, for my skin at least, is just not a great match for this particular Wolfman at this particular gap. See, there's a lot of variables, and so there's no right or wrong. It's just not as good of a fit. All right, so Stirling Spice is the scent. This is one of the first Stirling soaps I think I ever got, and it's obviously inspired from Old Spice, and I like it a lot. And the third experiment is, first let me douse my face in some water. The third experiment is, I'm really curious after I figured out how much I used of Chiseled Face, in roughly a month. I'm curious how my usage is for Stirling, because it's a great soap. I have lots of Stirling scents, and so I took the weight of this dry bottom part without the lid, 223 grams, and so I'm going to use it for about 14 uses, something like that. And then I'm going to let it dry after that final use and then weigh it, because I didn't weigh it wet, so I need to not weigh it at the end wet. All right, I'm going to shake out much of the water, my usual pattern. You might want to leave more water in your brush, give you a head start sometimes. I know Stirling can take having water added in the very beginning, I believe. All right, so let's do a 30-second load, because this puck hasn't been used in a while. And we're going to start at the 45 mark. And so we'll go to the, I would go to the 15 mark if it was 30 seconds. So I'll go to the 05 mark for 20 seconds. And the backbone here is probably going to be nice at stirring up brushes, stirring up lather and soap and stuff. All right, so it didn't take too long, and it looks very airy. That is not always a good or bad thing. I'm gonna rinse off the threads of the tub. Oh man, I got some on my fingers and rinsed it off, and it just was instantly reminded how slick this soap is. The people who run this company, Rod is the guy, and he's got his wife, Mandy, I think. They're awesome people, top-notch folks, and so it's great to support that. But also, they give you almost 6 ounces for the price, for less than many soaps give you for 4 ounces. And so it's just a tremendous deal. It's a high-performing soap. It's a crazy performing soap when you consider that price point. But it's a good performing soap across any metric. Sure, it's not as good as something like Barrister and Man, Holy Cow, Declaration Grooming, Noble Otter. Those are some of the elite soaps right now. It may not perform as well as them, but it's less than half the price, basically, and it's still amazing. I really enjoy it. I wouldn't mind if Stirling was the only soap brand that I had. I really wouldn't. All right, so dry bowl. Just gonna mix, just to kind of see how the lather starts to come together with only the moisture that was in the brush knot. Some soaps need me to do this, like Mystic Water, for instance. Oh, I stopped at 20. I meant to go 30. Oh well, let's just see how 20 works. It might be just fine. Okay, so I'm going to be building my lather with hard water as usual, and it is lukewarm. I'm starting to get some cooler temperatures lately. In January and February, might actually have to start using warm water to not have that frigidly cold water to mix my lathers with. Put in a teaspoon. So I don't know, I think I like the scent of this enough to use it for 2 weeks straight. Don't think that's going to be a problem, but I may switch, because there's another one that Stirling makes that I just adore, and it's the kind of the gray vetiver, and they use that scent for the R4L Responders for Life scent that they did, and it's just tremendous. Really enjoy using that one too. Another half teaspoon. It's looking good. Not copious amounts, but you don't need tons. I'm experimenting with maybe not pressing down quite so much when I mix my lathers, because if I do kind of get in there and splay really hard, I think you probably need to do that for a little bit of the shave, but because you need to get to that water that's at the inside of the knot. But I think once you get that, maybe I think I'm trying something where I switch to just a light touch, not really pressing down too hard, and then I keep, instead of the lather, if I press down too hard, then the lather goes away from the center and gets up on the walls. But if I do it lightly, then more of the lather will stay in the center part, and so I believe that will probably help in the agitating action to keep it under the knot instead of always away from the knot. Just trying that. So I guess that's experiment number 4. This lather is looking very good. Let's take a, oh, nice and elastic there. Look at that. That's awesome right there. That's probably what I need to shave with. Also, it's nice if you are not stirring as hard and pressing as hard. And these density brushes, the Stirling Finest and the Maggard SHD, they require more work, you know, because they're a lot more density there. They require more wrist stress and all that than the more open, less dense knots. All right, let's just try this. Should be enough to do the job. Looks like. A little more water on my face. All right, now this thing is full of soap. You can see how much it's opened up more. Let's see if a 14-hour soak makes me like it more. Well, the density, just all those hairs are still kind of, it's really difficult to splay. This brush just may not be for me, you know. Not every brush is for every person. Trying to bring out some of the, yeah, there we go. Some of the lather from the side of the knot. So what we're doing is we are working the lather into the skin layer because it needs to bond with the skin, absorb a little bit into the skin so that it can protect from the blade, the oncoming blade. Now right now it doesn't really matter too much that it's so thin. There's a lot of guys like CrvShv, for instance. I enjoy watching him. He doesn't do as much scrubbing like this. He likes this kind of motion, the painting style motion. And so that leaves a little bit thicker of a layer. And so you may, if you watch people like him that do the painting motions, I think Michael Friedberg, you know, he makes some great shaving videos. He also is kind of that way. Doesn't do as much scrubbing as I do. Well, I've got a goatee, so I've kind of I can't do as much of the painting motions. But right now we're working it into my face here. I think we've probably done it for long enough. So now I will switch. Let me get some of this lather from around the base here. Now I'm going to switch to the painting. And we do have a growth today, a little bit more than usual, since I missed my last night's shave. So a few more hours than 24, you know, so maybe a 30-hour growth between shaves here. All right. Nice scent. It's not. It could be overpowering. It's a potent scent. It's thick and rich, just like Old Spice kind of is. But this one is set at a level that I believe is pretty much perfect. Any stronger and it might be obnoxious. Obviously, people's noses differ, you know. But I really enjoy the strength. It could go a little bit lighter because it is so potent that you'd still get a good feel for it if it was just a little lighter. But I'm really glad it is where it is. All right, Feather, let's see how you do. Oh yeah, see, that's nice. See, I used this same blade in this same razor yesterday, and it wasn't nearly this comfortable. So it was just that Tabula Rasa soap that just didn't really give me a very good lather. Maybe it went through some kind of heat exposure during shipment. Maybe it was, I think it might have been a 5-year-old soap. So maybe it suffered a bit, and it's a very soft cream, and creams don't last as long as the CrvShv and the hard soaps do. And so maybe it is just kind of old and done. And so I am hoping that the 2 videos that I put out for Tabula Rasa will be seen by somebody who's a fan of that scent and speaks with authority and has tried other soaps like Stirling and Barrister and Man and those guys, so that he can offer some wisdom, some objective wisdom, instead of just a fan who only uses that one soap, you know. And of course he's going to write glowing reviews, right? All right, let's rinse. You may hear some background music in today's shave. Well, because I delayed things. I'm in kind of the middle of the day, shaving during my lunch break. And I got the family around. I got one little girl who's sick, and my little boy is faked being sick this morning. And so as a penalty for not going to school, he has to clean his room all day long. So, all right. But anyway, my wife's listening to Pandora in nearby, so you may hear the radio, the Pandora going, or maybe she's Spotify, I don't know. So tremendous first pass. Definitely answered the question of does this razor work with the feather? And it sure does. Very, very nice shave. Man, this thing just has so many bristles. I wonder if I could like get in there and clip about 25% of the bristles out, and then maybe I'd like the brush a lot. That would certainly not be worth doing, right? All right, and plenty of lather to do a 3-pass plus some touch-ups, so no problem there. So that, oh hey, look, yeah, I was painting last night.
Doesn't need to be trained pieces out here. And then here, doesn't need to be unicorn hats in here.
So this is one of the mildest gaps of the Wolfman WR1. And indeed, it might even be a custom. No, I think it's maybe the mildest. I can't remember though. But it is shaving nicely. Not a problem at all. It's definitely not too mild. And rinse. And now third and final pass. I'm confident that I won't need to do any touch-ups. just do painting, don't even need to do any scrubbing. Oh, water in the beard, gotta get that out. Can wash out your lather. Man, I love Stirling. The warm weather, the cooler weather now. We just had a nice cold turn here, refreshing. Slept with the windows down and all that stuff. Spice is a nice scent for that kind of weather. If you like Old Spice scents, then Barrister and Man Reserve Spice is another one to check out. I believe for that one, Will researched the original formula for Old Spice, the Shulton formula, and used that, or tried to come just really close to it for that particular soap. And the performance of the Reserve base, I'm a huge fan of that one. And so if you like Old Spice, that's another one to check out. Yeah, that's an excellent shave. Really happy with the quality of this shave. Comfort was there as well. Again, the pattern of a sharp blade, like a feather inside. And its feathers kind of, for me at least, from my skin, most of the time, feather performs like a sharper blade than a lot of the other ones out there. And so when I put it in a mild razor, many times the mildness of the razor, and I've said this a lot, mildness of the razor tempers that extra roughness and aggression of the feather blade, and it turns it into a nice, wonderful combination of comfort and a good quality close shave. How much water did we use? 2.5. No, 1.5. 1.5 teaspoons. This is a 2 teaspoon measure, so 1.5. And we had how much soap left over? Enough for, I bet I could squeeze 2 passes out of it, but we'll say another 1 pass, so 4. So 20 seconds might be the perfect amount of load time, at least for this brush, for Stirling. Very cool. Executive Man is the Aventus inspired scent that Stirling has, and I use it a lot. Big fan, so is my wife. So since this is a daytime shave, my aftershave, I'm going to focus on something that she enjoys. We'll see if it combines with the spice, because she doesn't actually like Old Spice, the cologne, or the aftershave. So fortunately, it should be okay, because the soap usually doesn't stay too resident on your face for very long. All right. I think it's a good match. I think it's working well together. Well, I got a great shave. Comfy shave. Really happy about that. I suspected that it might have just been the soap yesterday, but this feather blade, the young feather blade, works just fine in the Wolfman. So I love that I can still use such an enjoyable blade in this mild razor. The Stirling brush, while the tips were very soft, there's just so much backbone there because of all those hairs and all that density, that it's like taking a rubber ball, a tennis ball, and then maybe wrapping it with velour and then trying to use that like a shaving brush. It just feels like a ball, on you. And some people like that a lot. And if you don't shave in the splay, where you kind of push the bristles to where they open up a little bit like that, then you're not going to notice very many problems with this type of brush. You'll just feel those soft tips and you'll be fine with it. But for me, I like to have a little splay. It just feels better on my face instead of having a ball-shaped thing, rolling around on my face. So unfortunately, the soaking with water thing didn't help it to make me like it more. So I think the last ditch effort to see if I'm going to like this Stirling brush is just to use it a lot and see if it relaxes over time. And then we'll see. See how it is. Who knows? Maybe for these 2 weeks, maybe I'll keep using the Stirling brush. Why not? Approximately 2 weeks is what I'm going to put onto the Stirling soap to see how quickly I use the Stirling soap up. I may intersperse with another soap or something. And the soap, great performance as always with Stirling. Very happy with that. Nice warm scent. It'll be enjoyable during I think I will stick with that for the next couple of weeks probably. I could change my mind, but I like it. I like it. Yeah, that's all to report, I reckon. And yeah, the Executive Man, the Aventus, is working really well. I like that. Very compatible with the Old Spice. How about, they must have some common scent notes in there. All right, well, hey, I hope there was something here that helped you out. You take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Bye.